Have you ever wondered if out there, hidden in the endless dark, lies something stranger than anything we've ever imagined? Before we begin, hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear will take you on a journey far beyond Earth and deep into the strangest corners of the universe. Tonight, we're exploring galaxies, but not the usual kind. Not the smooth spirals you see in textbooks. Not the glowing balls of stars you see in telescope wallpapers. No, these are galaxies that twist, bend, and behave in ways that almost seem impossible. Galaxies that make astronomers scratch their heads and make us question just how much we really know about the universe. And the best part? You don't need a telescope, a physics degree, or even to stay wide awake. You just need to close your eyes, listen, and let your imagination drift into the deep cosmos with me. Let's begin with a thought. When you look up at the night sky, maybe from your backyard, you probably see a handful of stars twinkling. But in reality, beyond what your eyes can capture, there are trillions of galaxies, each galaxy containing billions of stars. It's overwhelming. Now picture this. In that infinite sea, there are galaxies so peculiar, so weird, they look like cosmic accidents, as if the universe itself was experimenting with shapes and laws of physics. One of the strangest galaxies ever discovered is called Voyager's object. If you imagine a giant glowing donut in space, you wouldn't be far off. Voyager's object looks like a perfect circle of stars, a ring with a bright ball of stars sitting neatly in the middle. Scientists can't fully explain how something so symmetrical could form naturally. Was it two galaxies colliding? Was it a strange quirk of gravity? Or maybe, as some dreamers whisper, could it be something designed? For now, no one truly knows. But Voyager's object is just the start. Out there, hidden in the shadows of space, galaxies bend into shapes that look like question marks, eyes staring back at us, or even hands stretching across the void. One famous example is the Cartwheel galaxy. Imagine a colossal wheel, glowing in neon blue and fiery red, sitting 500 million light years away. Astronomers believe a smaller galaxy punched right through the middle of it, like a stone thrown into water, sending ripples of stars outward in a perfect ring. And those ripples are still moving, like frozen waves of time. Looking at it almost feels wrong, like you're staring at something alive. Now, the thing about galaxies is that they aren't still. They move, they merge, they evolve. Over billions of years, they twist themselves into wild shapes. Some crash into each other, tearing apart in dramatic collisions, while others stretch into long, thin strands across space like taffy being pulled. And sometimes, what emerges is beyond strange. Take NGC 474. This galaxy doesn't look like a neat spiral or a blob. It has faint, ghostly shells around it, as if it's wrapped in cosmic smoke rings. Scientists think these shells were made by it devouring smaller galaxies over time, like a predator consuming prey. Each shell is a scar, a reminder of the battles it's fought in the dark. And as fascinating as these galaxies look, there's always this lingering question. If galaxies can take on such bizarre, unnatural shapes, then what else could be hiding out there? What forces, or perhaps what civilizations could shape them into things that challenge our very sense of reality? But before we get to that unsettling thought, let's drift deeper into space, where the strangest galaxies don't just look odd, they behave in ways that break the rules of physics as we know them. If galaxies were people, most of them would follow patterns. Some would be spirals, like the Milky Way. Some would be elliptical, smooth and round. And some would be irregular, scattered like spilled sand. But every now and then, in the universe's endless crowd, there's one that refuses to follow the rules. Let's start with one of the strangest discoveries of recent years. A galaxy with almost no dark matter. Now, if you're wondering what is dark matter, think of it like the invisible glue that holds galaxies together. We can't see it, we can't touch it, but scientists know it's there because galaxies spin too fast to stay intact without it. Imagine trying to swing a merry-go-round at the playground. If the bolts holding it weren't strong enough, the whole thing would fly apart. That's what would happen to galaxies without dark matter. They'd simply rip themselves apart. And yet, astronomers found one, a ghostly galaxy called NGC 1052 DF2, where the math didn't add up. It was faint, filled with only a few stars, and for some reason, it seemed to be missing almost all of its dark matter. Like a house without a foundation, it shouldn't exist. And yet, there it was, floating quietly, as if mocking our understanding of physics. Some scientists suggest maybe it formed differently, or maybe it lost its dark matter in a violent cosmic event. But others whisper, what if dark matter isn't what we think it is? What if our whole picture of the universe is missing something bigger? But NGC 1052 DF2 isn't alone. There are galaxies at the other extreme one so filled with dark matter that they seem like shadows, barely glowing at all. These are called ultra-diffuse galaxies. Imagine a galaxy so spread out, so faint, that it looks more like a ghost in the sky than a city of stars. They're out there, scattered like cosmic phantoms, barely visible. Some astronomers even call them failed galaxies, as if they try to form. But something went wrong. And then there are the galaxies that move in ways that don't make sense. Take the backward galaxy. Its official name is NGC 4622, but you can think of it as the galaxy that doesn't care about directions. Most spiral galaxies spin one way, and their arms trail behind them, kind of like the wake of a boat in water. But NGC 4622, its arms seem to be leading the spin, not trailing. In other words, it's going the wrong way. Scientists still debate how this is possible. Some think maybe another galaxy passed through it, reversing its pattern. Others say it could be an optical illusion. But standing back, looking at it, it almost feels like the universe slipped up like reality itself glitched for a moment. Speaking of glitches, let's talk about galaxies that glow too brightly, billions of light years away. there are galaxies known as quasars. These are powered by gigantic black holes at their centers, so powerful that they outshine entire galaxies. Imagine one single point in the sky, burning brighter than 1,000,000,000,000 stars combined. Quasars are like cosmic lighthouses, visible across the universe. But here's the weird part. Some quasars appear to be linked together across vast distances, almost as if they're aligned in ways that defy random chance. To some, it looks like a pattern, maybe even a structure. Could it just be coincidence? Or is there something connecting them, some hidden thread of the universe we can't see yet? And that leads us to one of the strangest problems in astronomy: galaxies that form too soon. According to our models, galaxies should take billions of years to build up, starting from small clouds of gas, slowly collecting stars, and then merging into bigger shapes. But telescopes have spotted enormous galaxies so far away that their light comes from the early universe, only a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. They're too big, too mature, too soon. It's like finding a full-grown tree in the middle of a field where only seeds should exist. Astronomers have theories, of course. Maybe stars formed faster back then. Maybe gas clouds collapsed differently. Or maybe we don't fully understand how the universe began at all. But here's where things get really strange. Some galaxies don't just challenge our physics, they challenge our imagination. Shapes that look too deliberate, too artistic, too alive. There's one pair of galaxies, called the antennae galaxies, that look like two great creatures locking arms in a cosmic dance. Their spiral arms stretch out like long antennae, glowing and curving as if they were reaching for each other. Another famous pair, the ice galaxies, sit side by side in the darkness, looking eerily like a pair of staring eyes, two cosmic pupils watching us from millions of light years away. And then, farther out, there's a galaxy shaped like a hand. Yes, a hand. Astronomers call it the Hand of God galaxy. Its long tendrils of gas and dust stretch outward like glowing fingers reaching into the void. It's beautiful, yes, but also unsettling. Staring at it too long feels like something is staring back. Now here's a thought. What if these strange shapes aren't random? What if, in a universe so vast, we've only begun to scratch the surface of patterns too big, too alien for us to understand? As we drift deeper, remember this: every galaxy has a story. Some are collisions, some are survivors, some are ghosts, and some may be something more. If the night sky were a canvas, galaxies would be the brushstrokes. Some are smooth spirals, others are faint smudges. But scattered across the universe, there are galaxies so unusual in shape that they feel like pieces of abstract art. Beautiful, haunting, and almost too strange to be real. One of the most famous is called the Sombrero Galaxy. Picture a giant cosmic hat floating in space, a flat disk of glowing stars wrapped in a wide brim of dust, with a brilliant white bulge at its center. From far away, it really does look like a sombrero sitting in the blackness. Astronomers love it because it's both familiar and alien at the same time. Looking at it, is like staring at a painting where the subject is obvious and yet mysterious. But if the sombrero galaxy is a painting, then the tadpole galaxy is a sketch come to life. Imagine a galaxy that looks like a tiny glowing head with a long, sweeping tail of stars trailing behind it. It's over 280,000 light years long, more than double the size of the Milky Way. The tail is actually made of millions of stars stretched out after a smaller galaxy passed too close and tore it apart. It almost looks alive, like some cosmic creature swimming through the ocean of the universe. Then there's the needle galaxy, a perfect thin line, as if someone drew a single glowing stroke of light across the void. From Earth, we're looking at it edge-on, which is why it looks like a needle floating in space. It's sharp, precise, almost surgical. Seeing it feels like staring at a blade made of stars. But not all strange galaxies are elegant. Some look like accidents. Take the cartwheel galaxy, we brushed past it earlier, but it deserves another look. Imagine a giant ripple, frozen in time, spreading out across space like the aftermath of a stone dropped into a pond. The cartwheel was created when a smaller galaxy smashed straight through a larger one. The impact sent shock waves rippling outward, forming a glowing outer ring of new stars. It looks so artificial, so symmetrical, that you almost expect to see it spinning like a wheel. And then there are galaxies that look unsettlingly familiar. One of the strangest is called the Evil Eye Galaxy. Astronomers gave it that name because, well, that's exactly what it looks like. A glowing, menacing eye staring back at us from the darkness. Its dark dust lanes cut across its bright center, forming the illusion of an iris and a pupil. For some, it's just a coincidence. But for others, it feels personal, like the universe itself is watching. Even stranger are galaxies that look like faces. There's one pair billions of light years away, captured by the Hubble Space Telescope. Two galaxies collided and stretched into shapes that, when seen together, look exactly like a smiling face. Round eyes and nose, and a mouth curved into a grin. Astronomers call it the smiling face of space. It's playful, almost comforting, as if the universe has a sense of humor hidden in the chaos. But not all faces are friendly. Sometimes, when galaxies collide, they form shapes that look twisted, distorted, even monstrous. One collision formed what astronomers call the mice galaxies, two thin spirals with long, sweeping tails of stars tangled together like the whiskers of two fighting animals. Another, called the penguin and the egg, looks exactly like a giant bird bending down toward a smaller galaxy as if protecting its child. These shapes are so uncanny that it's hard not to see meaning in them. And maybe that's the strangest part. Humans are wired to see faces, patterns, animals in the randomness of the world. Clouds, shadows, even tree bark can make us imagine familiar shapes. But when galaxies form these shapes, when entire cities of stars arrange themselves into something recognizable, it feels different. It feels intentional, even though we know it isn't. Still, maybe that's the quiet magic of the universe. Billions of stars colliding, pulled by gravity, twisted into shapes we can recognize. Like a cosmic artist sketching pictures across the sky, using galaxies as ink and gravity as its brush. And yet, behind the beauty, there's always destruction. Most of these bizarre galaxies, the tadpole, the cartwheel, the mice, are the result of violent collisions. Whole galaxies smashing together, stars ripped away from their homes, new suns born in fire. From our view, it looks peaceful, slow, beautiful. But inside those galaxies, it's chaos. Entire solar systems disrupted. Entire star clusters thrown into the void. Maybe that's why they're so haunting. They remind us that beauty and violence in the universe are two sides of the same coin. Out of destruction comes shape. Out of chaos comes art. So as we drift past the tadpoles, the cartwheels, the smiles and the eyes, we have to wonder, how many more strange faces and shapes are out there waiting to be discovered? How many galaxies are hidden in the shadows, painting pictures we haven't seen yet? There are galaxies in the universe that behave so strangely, so widely, that they almost seem impossible. They are the monsters of the cosmos, brighter than trillions of suns, darker than night itself, and sometimes bending the very rules of physics. Tonight, let's drift slowly into their worlds. Imagine a quiet night sky above you. From Earth, galaxies are faint smudges, tiny specks of light, barely noticeable. But if you could step outside our planet and into the void, these extreme galaxies would not look faint at all. They would blaze, roar, and stretch like cosmic beasts. Let's start with one of the most famous extremes, quasars. A quasar is like a galaxy on fire, but it's not the stars themselves that burn. The light comes from a supermassive black hole at the galaxy's heart. You might already know that black holes don't let light escape, right? That's true, but when matter spirals into a black hole, it heats up to incredible temperatures. It shines with energy so bright, it outshines the billions of stars around it. One quasar, called 3C273, sits about 2.5 billion light years away. If you could see it with your eyes, it would look like a bright star. But here's the strange part, that one dot of light is actually a galaxy releasing more energy than 1 trillion suns combined. Think about that for a moment. One object, so far away that light took billions of years to reach us, and yet still shining so brightly we can see it across the vast ocean of space. Now, let your mind wander. Imagine flying closer. You approach the galaxy. At its core, the black hole churns, twisting gravity like a whirlpool. Gas swirls around it, glowing hotter than the surface of any star. From the poles of the black hole, jets of energy shoot into space beams so powerful they could stretch for millions of light years, longer than entire galaxies themselves. This is the face of a quasar. But quasars aren't the only extremes. Some galaxies take this energy even further. They're called blazars. A blazar is just a quasar but aimed directly at us. It's like the difference between seeing a lighthouse shining out into the distance and having that spotlight pointed directly into your eyes. When a blazar points its jet straight at Earth, the brightness becomes overwhelming. One famous blazar, BL Lacerta, flickers and changes brightness rapidly. Astronomers watch it carefully because it's one of the most unpredictable objects in the night sky. It can double its brightness in just hours. Imagine a galaxy that flickers like a candle flame far beyond our reach. Now, let's float even deeper into the darkness. Not all extreme galaxies blaze with light. Some do the opposite. These are the ultra-dark galaxies, almost invisible to our telescopes. They are sometimes called ghost galaxies. Picture a vast collection of stars and gas, but spread out so thinly it's like smoke in the wind. You could drift through one of these galaxies and not even realize it because the stars are so far apart. Some of them are nearly invisible, as if the universe is hiding them from us. One such galaxy, Dragonfly 44, shocked astronomers when it was discovered. At first, it looked like just a faint smudge. But when researchers measured its mass, they realized it was almost entirely made of dark matter. More than 99% of the galaxy was invisible, held together by something we cannot see, cannot touch, and don't fully understand. Think about that. An entire galaxy that is practically invisible, drifting quietly in the cosmic sea, like a ghost ship lost in space. Extreme galaxies also exist in shape. Some galaxies form violent rings, like ripples across a pond. One famous example is the Cartwheel galaxy. Billions of years ago, another galaxy slammed through it, like a stone thrown into water. The impact created rings of stars rushing outward, forming a wheel of glowing light. It looks like a cosmic Ferris wheel, slowly turning through time. Others are shaped like needles, sombreros, or even jellyfish. Jellyfish galaxies trail long tendrils of gas behind them, stripped away by powerful cosmic winds as they fall through galaxy clusters. Their glowing tails stretch out like drifting tentacles, giving them an eerie, otherworldly beauty. And then there are galaxies that feel more like weapons than homes for stars. In some galaxies, black holes grow so massive their energy output is violent enough to stop stars from forming at all. These galaxies become barren, burned out by their own hearts. It's like a tree that kills its own branches by sending too much fire through its trunk. Astronomers call this quenching. A quenched galaxy is one that has lost its ability to give birth to new stars. Imagine a galaxy frozen in time, its stars slowly aging, fading and dying with no new ones to replace them. A cosmic graveyard. But the extremes don't end there. Some galaxies shine brighter than anything else we've seen. These are called hyperluminous infrared galaxies. They glow not in visible light, but in heat infrared radiation. Many are shrouded in thick clouds of dust, hiding their true nature. But beneath the dust, they are powerhouses birthing stars at thousands of times the rate of our own Milky Way. One of them, called ARB 220, is so intense that its core contains hundreds of supernova remnants, all packed within a few hundred light years. Imagine walking into a city where fireworks never stop, exploding endlessly night after night. That's what the heart of ARP 220 would feel like. And finally, let's step back. Think of all these extremes together. Galaxies blazing like 1 trillion suns. Galaxies vanishing into the dark. Galaxies colliding and tearing each other apart. Galaxies that stop growing. Galaxies that explode with new life. The universe is not quiet. It's not gentle. It's a balance of beauty and violence, creation and destruction. And every extreme galaxy tells us something about that balance. When you look up at the night sky, you won't see them with your eyes, but know that they are out there, raging, glowing, drifting, dying like giants walking across the universe. And in the grandest sense, they remind us that even the most extreme, impossible things can exist. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the very beginning of everything you know. Not Earth, not the Sun, not even the Milky Way. Imagine before all of that, a universe that had just been born. The Big Bang had erupted, flooding space with heat and light. At first, the cosmos was like a dense fog, filled with particles so hot and so close together that light itself could barely escape. For hundreds of thousands of years, it was nothing but darkness and haze. And then, slowly, the universe cooled. Atoms formed, the fog thinned, and for the first time, light was free to travel. This is when the first galaxies began to awaken. They were small, fragile, and faint nothing like the massive spirals and giants we see today. They were made of young stars, blazing blue and hot, burning out their lives quickly. Imagine tiny sparks flickering in an endless night, fragile candles that would eventually grow into galaxies like ours. Astronomers call this era the cosmic dawn. The earliest galaxies had to fight to exist. Gravity was pulling matter together, trying to form stars and clusters. But the young universe was still turbulent. Radiation from newborn stars blasted gas apart, preventing more stars from forming. Entire clouds of gas would collapse, only to be ripped apart by their own starlight. It was a delicate balance, creation and destruction, happening side by side. Picture it. Enormous clouds of hydrogen stretching across space, glowing faintly. Inside them, stars ignite like tiny matches, each one pushing back against the darkness. The first galaxies were not grand spirals or elegant ellipses. They were clumps of stars, chaotic and wild, drifting in small groups. But they were the seeds of everything that came after. Here's the strange and wonderful part. When we look at these galaxies, we are not seeing them as they are today. We are seeing them as they were billions of years ago. Light takes time to travel. The light from our sun takes 8 minutes to reach us. From the nearest star, it takes 4 years. But from the first galaxies, light has traveled more than 13 billion years. When astronomers point the James Webb Space Telescope into the deep sky, they are literally looking back through time, almost to the beginning itself. What they see are faint smudges of red galaxies so distant that their light has stretched and reddened as the universe expanded. One of the most distant ever observed is called GNZ 11. It's a tiny galaxy, barely 1% the size of the Milky Way. Yet, It was blazing with star formation when the universe was only a few 100 million years old. To put that in perspective, if the universe's life was a single 24-hour day, GNZ 11 formed just a few minutes after midnight. Think of that. We are looking at one of the first cities of stars that ever existed. Inside these ancient galaxies, astronomers believe there may have been stars unlike anything that exists today. We call them population 3 stars, the very first generation of stars. They were made of pure hydrogen and helium, the only elements the universe had at the time. No carbon, no oxygen, no metals. Just the raw ingredients left over from the Big Bang. Because of this, these stars may have been gigantic, hundreds of times the mass of our Sunday. They would have burned hotter, brighter, and lived shorter lives, collapsing into black holes or exploding as supernovae after only a few million years. Imagine titans of light, burning fiercely, seeding the universe with the first heavier elements, the oxygen you breathe, the carbon in your body, the iron in your blood. All of it was forged in the furnaces of those first stars. Without them, planets like Earth could never have formed. Life could never have begun. In a very real sense, we are the children of those first galaxies. Over billions of years, those small, fragile galaxies began to merge. Gravity pulled them together, colliding, combining, and reshaping them into larger structures. Some merged peacefully, others tore each other apart. These violent encounters created streams of stars, twisted shapes, and bursts of star formation. Eventually, the great galaxies we know today were born spirals like the Milky Way, giant ellipticals, and clusters containing thousands of galaxies bound together. But at the heart of it all are those first faint galaxies, glowing softly at the edge of time. When we look back at the first galaxies, we're not just studying astronomy, we're studying ourselves. Because hidden in those tiny sparks of light is the story of how everything began, how matter gathered, how stars ignited, and how the building blocks of life were first scattered into the universe. It is humbling to think that billions of years ago, in galaxies long gone and stars long dead, the atoms that now make up you and me were created. We are, in every way, the children of those first galaxies. So when you step outside on a quiet night and see the stars, remember, those are not just lights in the sky, they are the descendants of the very first galaxies. The universe has carried their story for over 13 billion years, and now, through us, that story is still being told. The cosmic dawn was not just the birth of galaxies. It was the birth of everything. And it continues quietly, endlessly, as the universe stretches further into mystery. When you look up at the night sky, you might think you're just seeing stars, a sprinkle of light scattered on a black canvas. But what you're really seeing is the edge of something enormous, something we call home, but barely understand, the Milky Way. At first glance, it feels familiar, comforting, even. A calm ribbon of light stretched across the heaven. But the truth is, our galaxy is stranger, more dangerous, and more mysterious than most of us ever imagine. And tonight, we're going to drift through it slowly, piece by piece, as if we were floating through a dream. The Milky Way is a galaxy, yes, but try not to think of it as some far-away object. Imagine instead that it's a city, a sprawling cosmic city with hundreds of billions of stars. Every single star could be its own street light, and many of those street lights have their own neighborhoods, planets, moons, entire systems spinning around them. Now, picture yourself standing on the dark mountain top, miles away from the noise of human life. You tilt your head back, and you see that hazy band of light stretched from horizon to horizon. It looks soft, like smoke. But in reality, that glow is made up of billions of stars, packed so tightly together in the distance that your eyes can't separate them. They blur into a glowing river, a milky river. That is why we call it the Milky Way. If you wanted to compare it to something you know, imagine this. Take a beach. Every grain of sand on that beach is a star. Now imagine that beach stretching on for thousands of miles. Handful after handful, mountain after mountain of sand. And still, you'd only be holding a tiny fraction of what fills our galaxy. That's how immense it is. And in all of that, here we are. Tiny planet circling a modest star, living on what feels like a quiet suburban street in the far edge of the city. The Milky Way itself is shaped like a giant pinwheel. Its arms spiral outwards, curling in elegant arcs, each one heavy with stars, dust, and clouds of gas. If you could float above it and look down, it would look like a painting. But from the side, it's thin, like a disc. And across, it's vast. So vast, it's hard to put into words. It measures about 100,000 light years across. Let that sit in your mind for a moment. Light, which moves so fast it can circle the Earth 7 times in just a single second, would still need 100,000 years to cross the galaxy from end to end. That's the size of our home. That's the size of the city of stars we live in. But don't let the beauty fool you. This is not a gentle neighborhood. Lurking across the Milky Way are forces that bend the rules of nature. Stars that can explode without warning. Pulsars that spin like cosmic lighthouses, spraying beams of deadly radiation through space. And, hidden in silence, black holes, invisible, patient, swallowing anything that strays too close. At the center of the galaxy waits the strangest of them all, a monster so massive, so powerful, that it bends space itself. It's a black hole called Sagittarius A, 4 million times more massive than our Sunday. If you were close enough, you would see stars whipping around it like sparks around a fire, moving at speeds you can barely imagine. Clouds of gas torn apart and consumed. Whole systems erased in silence. And yet, here's the mystery. Without that black hole, our galaxy might not even hold together. This monster at the heart of the Milky Way is both destroyer and anchor. It devours. But it also keeps the galaxy spinning, like a dark sun. A shadowy center that shapes everything else. Our solar system, where Earth lives, is not close to that heart. It sits far away, tucked out in one of the spiral arms, almost like we're hiding. And maybe that's a good thing. Being closer to the center would mean living in chaos, near stars that burn too hot and too short, near radiation that can strip away life in an instant, near dangers we can't even begin to face. Instead, our little sun drifts quietly in a safer neighborhood, a calm stretch of the galaxy. Perhaps that's why we're here at all. Perhaps life only had a chance because we're on the edge, looking inward from a safe distance rather than being caught in the storm at the center. But even from here, the Milky Way reminds us of just how small we are. Every time you see that soft band in the sky, remember that you're looking across a city of stars. And our entire existence is just one tiny story in it. Sometimes, when people talk about the Milky Way, they think of it as still, like a picture in the sky. But the truth is, nothing about it is still. The galaxy is alive with motion. Stars move. Clouds of gas swirl. The spiral arms twist slowly, as if the whole galaxy were breathing in and out over millions of years. Even our own sun is drifting, pulling us along on a quiet journey. Right now, our solar system is hurtling through the galaxy at more than 500,000 miles per hour. You don't feel it, you don't notice it, but we are racing, silently, through a cosmic current. Imagine being on a boat in the middle of a dark ocean. The water is calm, but underneath there are currents pulling you along. That's what's happening to us. We're passengers in a ship we can't steer, floating through the arms of the Milky Way. As we drift, the sun completes one orbit around the center of the galaxy every 225 million years. That means the last time our solar system was in this exact spot, dinosaurs walked the Earth. When you think about it like that, you realize how slow and vast these motions are. For us, a year feels long. For the galaxy, a year is nothing but a heartbeat. Now, picture the spiral arms we talked about earlier. These arms aren't solid objects. They're like traffic jams in space. Stars and gas flow into them, slow down, cluster together, then move on. That clustering creates regions where stars are born. Enormous clouds of dust collapse under their own weight, and subtly, a new star flickers into life. A new sun, shining for the very first time. Imagine watching that. A black cold cloud floating in the dark, and then, inside it, a spark. A tiny glow that swells into a fireball, so bright it lights up everything around it. That's how stars are born, not in silence, but in chaos. And often, they're not alone. Dozens of stars can form together, like siblings, before drifting apart as they grow older. And in these nurseries of stars, planets also take shape. Dust gathers, clumps together, forms rocks, then worlds. Some are small, barren, and frozen. Others are huge, wrapped in thick gases, swirling with storms. And perhaps, in the right conditions, on the right kind of planet, life stirs. A cell, a spark, a beginning. When you look at the Milky Way, you're not just looking at stars. You're looking at possibilities. millions of worlds waiting. Some may be deserts, some may be oceans, some may hold skies with two suns, and some, maybe, just maybe, carry creatures looking back at us, wondering if they're alone. But there's a darker side too. Just as stars are born, they also die. Some fade away quietly, but others, they die with fury. A star much larger than our sun will reach a point where it can't hold itself together. It's called collapses, and then it explodes. A supernova, picture that. In a single instant, the star grows brighter than entire galaxies, shining with a light so powerful it could be seen across the universe. And then, after the blaze, what remains is either a dense, spinning neutron star or a black hole. A place where gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. The Milky Way is filled with these remnants, silent reminders of stars that once lived. Some of them are invisible, waiting in the dark, moving alongside us without us ever knowing. Others reveal themselves by pulling on nearby stars, tugging them, bending their light. It's both terrifying and fascinating to think that, in the very galaxy we call home, we're surrounded by these ghosts of sun. And while we drift quietly in our little corner, all of this is happening around us. Stars being born, stars dying, planets forming, black holes feeding. The galaxy is a living storybook, writing and erasing chapters in the ink of light. Sometimes I wonder, when you look up and see the Milky Way glowing faintly in the night, do you realize that you're looking at history? Some of that light left its star before humans even existed. When it finally reaches your eyes, it's carrying with it thousands of years of time. To look at the stars is to look into the past. And every time you do, you're borrowing a glimpse of eternity. Think about this for a moment. Every star you see in the night sky is part of our Milky Way. But those are just the brightest ones, the ones close enough for our eyes to notice. Behind them, hidden in the dark, are hundreds of billions more. It's like looking at a beach and only seeing a handful of grains of sand while the rest stretch endlessly out of sight. That's how vast the galaxy truly is. Now imagine if you could drift outside of Earth and float far enough into space to see the Milky Way from the outside. At first, you'd just see darkness. Then, slowly, a hazy glow would spread across the black. It would twist into a spiral shape, like a pinwheel made of light. And there it would be our home, laid out in front of you. The galaxy would look delicate, like a painting brushed onto velvet, but don't be fooled by its beauty. Inside that spiral lies raw power. The Milky Way holds stars that could tear planets apart with their heat. It holds black holes that devour anything that wanders too close. It holds storms of gas bigger than our entire solar system. And yet, within all that violence, it also holds peace. Stars shine quietly for billions of years, giving light and warmth to worlds we may never know. If you could travel through the spiral arms, you'd find neighborhoods of stars gathered like cities. Some are old and red, glowing faintly, like embers fading in a fire. Others are hot and young, glowing blue, burning through their lives in just a blink of cosmic time. And then, scattered between them, there are the loners, stars drifting on their own, with nothing but empty space for company. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to stand on a planet orbiting one of those lonely stars. Imagine stepping outside at night and seeing no constellation, no familiar patterns in the sky, just one bright sun, surrounded by endless black. It would feel isolating, but maybe also calming. A reminder that not every world needs to be crowded. Some places are meant to be still. But let's not forget, stars are not the only characters in this galactic story. There are rivers of dust that flow like shadows between them. There are giant molecular clouds, so vast they could swallow our entire solar system, floating like cosmic fog. These clouds are the birthplaces of stars, nurseries hidden in darkness. Inside them, gravity quietly pulls particles together until the first flicker of a star ignites. To us, it's invisible. But in reality, it's one of the most important processes in the universe. The galaxy is also full of wanderers, rogue planets, worlds that don't orbit any star. They're thrown out of their systems by gravity's tug of war, left to drift endlessly in the dark. Picture one of those worlds, a frozen ball of ice, or maybe a gas giant, alone, with no sun to give it light. And yet, scientists think some of these worlds could still harbor life deep underground or beneath layers of ice, warmed only by their own inner heat. Life in places where sunlight never reaches what a thought that is. And then, far deeper, at the very center of the Milky Way, lies the most mysterious piece of all, Sagittarius A, a supermassive black hole. It's so massive, it holds our entire galaxy together. Imagine a point in space 4 million times the mass of our sun, hidden behind a veil of darkness. Around it, stars whip around at incredible speeds, pulled into orbits tighter than anything we can imagine. It's like a dance, a dangerous, beautiful dance around a partner that cannot be seen. If you were to drift closer, time itself would begin to behave strangely. Minutes for you might pass as years for someone far away. That's the strange thing about gravity. It bends not just space, but time. And at the event horizon, the point of no return, not even light can escape. Beyond it, we can only imagine what lies there. Some say it's the end. Others wonder if it's a doorway. And while all of this unfolds, while black holes feast and stars are born, here we are, tiny, fragile. A species living on a small rock orbiting an ordinary star, tucked away in a quiet arm of the Milky Way. We're like a whisper in the middle of a storm. And yet, despite our size, we're able to look up, to wonder, to tell stories about the very galaxy that created us. That's the strange beauty of it. Sometimes, when you close your eyes and think of the Milky Way, it feels less like a galaxy and more like a heartbeat. A rhythm of creation and destruction, of beginnings and endings. Stars inhale and exhale. Planets spin and collide. Black holes consume. And in the middle of it all, life stirs asking questions in the dark. Black holes. The very name sounds like something out of a nightmare, and yet they are very real. What makes them strange isn't just their size or power, but the way they twist reality itself. If you were to drift near one, you wouldn't notice anything unusual at first. The stars would still twinkle. Space would still look like space. But the closer you got, the more the universe itself would begin to warp. Time would slow down. Not just for you, but in how others would see you. Imagine waving goodbye to someone as you drift closer to you. The wave is quick, over in a second, but to them, watching from far away, your hand would move slower and slower until it looked like you were trapped in slow motion. At the edge of the black hole, you'd appear frozen, stuck forever at that final moment. And then there's the spaghettification. It sounds almost funny, doesn't it? But it's not. Scientists call it that because if you crossed that invisible line, gravity would stretch your body like a piece of pasta. Your feet, closer to the black hole, would be pulled much harder than your head. It's a force you can't fight. No matter how strong you are, no matter how advanced your ship might be, you'd be pulled apart. But what lies inside a black hole? That's where the strangeness reaches its peak. Some scientists say it's a singularity, a point where everything collapses into infinite density, a place where the laws of physics break down. Others whisper that maybe, just maybe, black holes are gateways, wormholes to other parts of the universe, or even to other universes entirely. That idea is both terrifying and thrilling. Imagine slipping into one and finding yourself not destroyed, but reborn in a galaxy we've never even dreamed of. And here's something even more chilling. Black holes aren't rare. Our galaxy alone has millions of them. Most are small, the remnants of stars that collapsed at the end of their lives. They're scattered quietly, invisible, waiting in the dark. We could pass near one and not even know it was there. That thought alone, that right now, in the vast blackness above us, silent traps lie waiting, it sends a shiver down the spine. But as frightening as they are, black holes are also necessary. Without them, galaxies might not even exist. That's the paradox. They destroy, but they also create order. At the center of the Milky Way, Sagittarius A keeps everything together. Without it, stars might drift away. The spiral arms might unravel. It's as if the galaxy needs that heart of darkness to survive. Now let's stretch our minds a little further. What happens when galaxies collide? Because they do often. In fact, our Milky Way is already on a slow collision course with our neighbor, the Andromeda Galaxy. Don't worry though, it won't happen for about 4 billion years. But when it does, the sky will be a sight beyond imagination. Picture this. You step outside on a quiet night. Above you, instead of our familiar stars, you see a giant glowing disk stretching across the heavens. The Andromeda Galaxy, filling the sky, brighter than anything you've ever seen. Over millions of years, it will draw closer until the two galaxies overlap, Stars will swirl together like dancers meeting in the dark. Some will be flung into the emptiness between galaxies, cast out forever. Others will form entirely new constellations, new systems, maybe even new worlds. And at the center, black holes from both galaxies may meet. Can you imagine that? Two monsters colliding, each millions of times the mass of the sun, spiraling closer until they merge into one even larger beast. The energy released would ripple through the universe, creating waves in space-time itself. These waves, called gravitational waves, are something we can actually detect on Earth. In fact, scientists have already picked up faint echoes of black holes colliding. It's like listening to the universe breathe. But here's where things get really strange. If galaxies can merge, what about galaxies that look nothing like ours? Not spirals, not disks, but irregular shapes. Some look like giant smudges of light. Others are stretched out, thin, like cosmic ribbons. And then there are galaxies shaped by collisions, torn apart, twisted into bizarre forms we can barely explain. They look like scars in the universe, reminders that space is not as calm as it seems. Some galaxies don't even shine at all. They're made almost entirely of dark matter, an invisible substance we can't see, but we know it's there because of the way it pulls on stars. Imagine that. Entire galaxies hidden from sight, ghostly structures drifting through the universe. We call them dark galaxies, and they may be far more common than we realize. Think about that while you drift off. Most of the universe might be invisible, not just far away, but unseen. Entire galaxies passing by silently, never glowing, never announcing themselves. Just shadows in the great cosmic sea. Now that we've drifted through black holes and collisions, let's finally talk about the galaxies that earn the title of strangest in the universe. These aren't your usual spirals or fuzzy smudges. These are the cosmic oddballs, galaxies that look like they shouldn't even exist. And yet, they do. Let's start with something beautiful, almost hypnotic. A ring galaxy. Imagine a perfect circle of stars, like a glowing halo floating in the darkness. That's what astronomers see when they look at one of the rarest galaxy shapes in the universe. The most famous one is called Hoag's object. From a distance, it looks like someone painted a perfect golden circle, filled with stars wrapped around a glowing blue core. How does something like that even form? Scientists think it happens when one galaxy passes straight through the center of another. Not a smash, not a violent explosion, but a clean pass-through. The gravity from that encounter can cause the stars in the larger galaxy to ripple outward like a stone dropped into water. Those ripples gather stars into a circle, and over millions of years, a ring galaxy is born. Hoag's object isn't just rare, though. It's eerie. Because when you look at it closely, you see not one but two rings. A massive outer circle, and faintly a smaller inner one. And here's the kicker. Astronomers found another ring galaxy in the background of the photo, a smaller twin galaxy sitting right inside the ring of Hoag's object, like a cosmic joke. What are the odds of that? Out of billions of galaxies, we spot one of the rarest, and inside it, another one peers back at us. Coincidence? Or something more? Now, not all galaxies are graceful. Some look, well, messy. We call them irregular galaxies. These are the rebels of the universe. No spiral arms, no neat oval shape, just chaotic clumps of stars, dust, and gas. They look like someone tried to paint a galaxy but spilled their brush across the canvas. And yet, these strange broken galaxies often give birth to countless new stars. Their chaos fuels creation. One of the most famous is the Large Magellanic Cloud, a neighbor to our own Milky Way. To the naked eye, it just looks like a fuzzy patch of light, but up close, it's a factory of stars, birthing new suns at a furious rate. Then, there are galaxies that are even stranger, lenticular galaxies. They're a strange halfway point between spirals and ellipticals. Picture a spiral galaxy, but the arms have vanished, leaving behind only a smooth, flat disk. They look like cosmic pancakes, simple but haunting, as if they've lost something, a memory of what they used to be. Scientists think these galaxies used to be spirals that ran out of gas and dust. Without the fuel to form new stars, their arms faded away, leaving only a dim, tired shell. They're galaxies in retirement. But if you want truly bizarre, look at something called a polar ring galaxy. Imagine a normal galaxy, now add another ring of stars orbiting around it at a completely different angle, almost like Saturn's rings, but tilted sideways. It's like a galaxy wearing a crown. How does that happen? Likely from a collision where a smaller galaxy donates its stars and dust to the larger one. Over millions of years, those stars settle into a ring that spins at a crazy angle, defying what we expect galaxies to look like. And then there are colliding galaxies. We touched on this earlier, but some of them are so strange they deserve their own spotlight. Take the antennae galaxies. From Earth, through powerful telescopes, they look like two swirls of stars crashing together, with long tails stretching out like insect antennae. These tails are actually streams of stars being ripped from their homes, flung into the void. To us, it looks violent, but it's also oddly beautiful, like sparks flying from a fire. Now picture this. There's a galaxy nicknamed the Tadpole Galaxy. Why? Because it literally looks like a glowing tadpole swimming through space, a bright round head with a long trailing tail. That tail is made of stars and gas pulled out by the gravity of another passing galaxy. The universe, it seems, has a sense of humor. Out of all possible shapes, this one ends up looking like a cosmic creature frozen in motion. But let's not stop there. Some galaxies are so faint they're almost invisible. Ultra-diffuse galaxies are strange because they spread their stars out over enormous distances. Imagine a galaxy the size of the Milky Way, but with only a fraction of the stars. They're ghostly, dim, and hard to see. In fact, some are almost entirely made of dark matter, that mysterious invisible substance we can't see but know is there. These galaxies barely glow, like whispers in the dark. Some astronomers think they're failed galaxies, ones that never managed to build enough stars to shine properly. It's almost sad, isn't it? A galaxy with the size of a giant, but the glow of a candle. And then, perhaps the strangest of all, galaxies with no stars at all. Yes, you heard that right. Just clouds of dark matter, unseen and undetectable, except for the way they bend light around them. They're called dark galaxies. Invisible giants roaming the universe, shaping the structure of everything we see, yet never shining themselves. We can only guess how many there are, but some scientists believe they may outnumber regular galaxies. That means when we look at the sky, we're only seeing part of the picture. The rest of it, the majority, is hidden in plain sight. Take a moment and let that sink in. Most of the universe might be invisible to us. The galaxies we admire, the spirals, the clusters, the glowing halos, they might just be the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies a hidden world, stranger than we can ever imagine. Now that we've seen the unusual shapes, let's slow down and take a closer look at a few galaxies that carry stories of their own. Each one has something strange, something unforgettable, something that makes you wonder if the universe is hiding secrets in plain sight. One of the most famous is the Sombrero Galaxy. Even its name sparks curiosity. From a telescope image, it looks exactly like a wide-brimmed hat floating in space, a bright, glowing core wrapped in a dark, dusty ring. That ring isn't just for show, though. It's made of billions of stars and massive clouds of gas, all circling a hidden giant black hole at the galaxy's center. Astronomers estimate the black hole in the Sombrero Galaxy is 1,000 times more massive than the one in our own Milky Way. Think about that for a moment. A void so powerful it could swallow entire solar systems, lurking quietly inside one of the most beautiful galaxies in the sky. Then there's the Cartwheel Galaxy, a true cosmic masterpiece. From Earth, it looks like a glowing wheel of light, complete with spokes connecting the core to the rim. Scientists believe this stunning shape was created when a smaller galaxy shot directly through the heart of a larger one, sending waves of stars rippling outward. Those waves formed the glowing wheel we see today. The collision probably happened hundreds of millions of years ago, but the ripples are still moving outward, still reshaping the galaxy. In other words, the cartwheel is a galaxy caught in the act of transformation, frozen mid-motion, like a photograph of a splash in slow motion. It reminds us that even galaxies can be temporary, always changing, always becoming something new. Now, let's travel even farther, to one of the largest galaxies ever discovered. I see 1101. If the Milky Way is a city, then I see 1101 is an empire. It's more than 100 times larger than our galaxy and contains over 100 trillion stars. To put that into perspective, if you traveled at the speed of light, it would take you 6 million years just to cross from one side to the other. Imagine standing on a planet inside icy 1101. The night sky would be impossibly bright, filled with countless stars. There would be no darkness, no empty void, only light stretching endlessly in every direction. And yet, despite its unimaginable size, IC 1101 sits quietly in the darkness of space, almost unknown. The universe hides giants in plain sight. Then there's the Whirlpool Galaxy, one of the most breathtaking objects ever captured by telescopes. It's a spiral, but not just any spiral. Its arms are perfectly defined, glowing like a cosmic seashell. What makes it even stranger is that it's locked in a gravitational dance with a smaller galaxy, NGC 5195, which tugs at the whirlpool's arms like a child pulling on a parent's sleeve. This cosmic tug-of-war has been going on for millions of years, shaping both galaxies in ways we can barely understand. It's a reminder that even across impossible distances, gravity can bind galaxies together in an endless dance. And then we have the Black Eye Galaxy. At first glance, it looks like a spiral with a single dark shadow cutting across its core. That dark stripe is actually a band of coal dust circling around the galaxy's heart. But what makes it even stranger is its history. Scientists believe the Black Eye Galaxy may have absorbed another smaller galaxy in the past, devouring it whole. That dark band is the scar of that ancient collision, forever etched into its appearance. A cosmic reminder that even beauty can hide violence. There's also the Needle Galaxy, one of the thinnest and most delicate galaxies ever discovered. Seen edge-on from Earth, it looks like a razor of light, sharp and bright, slicing through the blackness of space. From above, it would be a grand spiral, but from our view, is as thin as a thread. Some astronomers say that if the Milky Way could be seen the same way, we would look like the Needle Galaxy too, a thin river of stars, fragile against the vastness of the void. And perhaps most mysterious of all is the Triangulum Galaxy. It doesn't get as much attention as Andromeda or the Milky Way, but it's one of the closest spiral galaxies to us, only 3 million light years away. It's smaller, fainter, and yet incredibly active, filled with star-forming regions that glow like pink clouds. If intelligent life exists nearby, Triangulum may be one of the first galaxies they could visit. Some even speculate that civilizations, if they survive long enough, might one day travel between the Milky Way, Andromeda, and Triangulum, creating a galactic neighborhood across millions of light years. Each of these galaxies carries a secret, a story written in stars and dust. Some are scars from collisions, others are masterpieces of symmetry, and some are giants too big for us to even fully comprehend. But together, they remind us that the universe isn't just vast, it's endlessly creative. We've wandered through spirals, ellipticals, colliding giants, and mysterious galaxies that look like eyes, wheels, and needles. But before we close our eyes for the night, let's zoom out even farther beyond individual galaxies and see how they connect into something even more astonishing. Galaxies are not alone. They gather together in groups, in clusters, and in superclusters. The Milky Way itself belongs to the Local group, a small neighborhood of more than 50 galaxies, including Andromeda and Triangulum. Together, these galaxies are bound by gravity, slowly drifting toward one another. Billions of years from now, the Local group will merge into a single colossal galaxy, a city of stars where there are now many. But the Local group is just a dot in a much larger structure. Our cluster sits at the edge of something called the Virgo supercluster, a collection of thousands of galaxies spanning 100 million light years. Imagine billions of stars forming billions of galaxies, all moving together like schools of fish in a cosmic ocean. And then there's the Laniakea supercluster. This is where we truly understand scale. Laniakea is a Hawaiian word that means immeasurable heaven, and it's the name given to the supercluster that contains the Virgo cluster, the local group, and everything around us. It stretches across 500 million light years of space, holding over 100,000 galaxies, and even this is only one thread in a much larger web. Scientists now believe that the universe itself is woven like a fabric, with galaxies arranged along filaments and walls, separated by enormous voids where almost nothing exists. It's called the cosmic web, and when we look at computer models, it looks eerily similar to the neurons in a human brain. Imagine that. The entire universe, billions of galaxies connected like synapses, light flowing through it like thought. It makes you wonder if the cosmos itself is alive in a way we can't understand. This web stretches farther than our minds can imagine. Every galaxy we've talked about, the sombrero, the cartwheel, the whirlpool, IC, 1101, even our Milky Way, they're all tiny jewels strung along this invisible lattice. And as we look deeper into space, we're really looking deeper into time. The light from distant galaxies has been traveling for billions of years, crossing unimaginable gulfs just to reach our eyes tonight. And maybe that's the strangest thing of all. Every galaxy we see is also a memory, a frozen moment of how it looked long ago. When we observe the Andromeda galaxy, we're seeing light that left it more than 2 million years ago, long before humans existed. When we look at IC 1101, we're seeing light that's been on the road for 1 billion years. Telescopes aren't just instruments. They're time machines, showing us the past of the universe in every direction we look. So the strangest galaxies aren't just odd shapes or colossal giants. They're reminders of how small we are, how temporary we are, and yet how connected we are to everything around us. Every atom in our bodies was born in a star, and those stars were born in galaxies. In a way, we're not separate from the galaxies, we are the galaxies, looking back at themselves. Now, as this journey draws to a close, imagine yourself floating in that great cosmic web. Picture the spirals and the ellipticals glowing faintly in the distance. Imagine the voids like vast oceans of silence, and the clusters like islands of light. Feel yourself drifting, weightless, safe, surrounded by an infinity that is at once terrifying and comforting. The universe is immense, strange, and filled with mysteries. But tonight, it has shared a few of its secrets with you. Take a deep breath. Let the stars settle in your mind, and remember, the strangest galaxies are out there, waiting. If you enjoy this journey, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe so you can join me on the next trip into the unknown. And right now, another mystery is waiting for you on the screen. Go ahead and click it, and let's keep exploring the universe together.